Good morning, everybody. It is Friday, January 29th, 2016. It's 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I just want to thank everybody that's been following me on Facebook and everybody that's following the new Michael Kittner's Wake Up America group page on Facebook. If you're not over there, please go over there and we'll get you vetted and get you in there. I may eventually be deleting this page because it's overwhelming. And with that, I'd like to remind everybody again, I've been nice. I've said it 100 times. Please do not send me messages or links or tag me in links. Go put it on the new Michael Kittner's Wake Up page. Unless you know me personally, survived all the deletings over the years, went to school with you, or here live in the community, please don't message me. I just don't have time for Facebook, let alone running the page, running my page, answering messages, looking at links, reading articles. There's not enough time in one day. But I do thank everybody for all your support. Now, we're going to talk about this Lavoy cold-blooded murder that took place this week. And we're going to go over this conflicting stories from the eyewitness and also the media and all that. I'm going to be moving my camera around a little bit here, so stay with me. I don't have all that fancy backdrop stuff, and I don't have Screen-O-Matic or anything, so we're just going to move this around. And the first thing I want to talk about is the eyewitness account. Here, we're going to listen to this. It's about 12 minutes long. Make sure I got this right. Okay, right there.
They're like, turn out the car and put your head out the window. He's like, he put his hand up like this, so they continue to know. Then he's like, but I'm not. He's like, I'm not. He's like, we're going to talk to the sheriff right now. He's like, you call us in, it's fine. He's like, but we're talking to the sheriff. He's like, either you can put a bullet through my head right now and get it over with, or we're going to talk to the sheriff. And they were like, no. And so then they're like stepping it up, and a bunch more guys are coming out, and they're all pulling their guns out. And they're like, we have women in the car. We have, because there's me and this other lady in the car that I don't know real well. But there was women in the car. They said, get the women out of the car. Get the women out of the car. And they're saying, they're shoot. And Ryan Payne was like, he was in the front seat. Ryan Payne is amazing. He's incredible. But anyhow, so he was like, he said he put his hand out the window. He was trying to talk to them. He was like, he wanted the guy to just. He was like, I don't know if it's worth it. He's like, so he put his hand out the window and he said, we have women in the car. At least let the women get out. And he stuck his head out and they shot at him, but they missed him, or like he talked just in time. So they didn't hit him. And then they're like, oh, they mean business. They're gonna shoot us. And so Ryan decided to get out of the car and try to go talk to them. And so he gets out of the car, and then the guy tried to like talk to them. The driver was like, "I'm just gonna drive, so I'm just going to talk to the sheriff." And he's like, "So either shoot me now or leave us alone." And they were just like, turn the car off and put your hands up on the window. So finally, he decided to just drive. So we all got down on the floorboard, and he took off, and then they started firing at us. They started shooting us a bunch of times, and then they had a roadblock set up, and so he ran into a snowbank, and they were like riddling the car with bullets. And then they, like when we crashed, they stopped for a second. He got out of the car, and he had his hands in the air. He's like, and Russ, he's like, just shoot me, Dad. This is what you want to shoot me. And they did. They shot him dead. They shot him like right there because he was just walking with his hands in the air. And I saw it. I swear to God, he was just walking with his hands in the air. And they shot him. And they shot him dead. And then after he was down on the ground, shot him 3 more times. And then they bombarded our vehicle with bullets. Ryan got hit in the shoulder. We were laying there on the floorboard, screaming, and they gassed us like 5 times, and they kept trying to shoot us, and their angle was bad, so I don't know, we were praying like so hard, and we were screaming like, stop, please stop, and they were just riddling us with bullets. They kept gassing us over and over, and we couldn't breathe because of the gas, and we were trying to find something white so that we could put a white flag out, and then I was trying to see, because Ryan knew he had got hit in the shoulder, so he was like, well, I don't think it's too bad, though. So we were just trying to find a way to get out there, and then they, hold on, I'm waiting.
Listen, Victoria, I recorded your testimony.
Oh, okay.
All right, because if anything happens to you, I think it's really important to have that.
All right.
Okay, so let's just get this clear. Mr. Finicum's hands were in the air when he was shot.
Yes.
Was he stand?
We saw him face up. I mean, his hands were still up after he was dead.
Okay, they shot him and he went down, then they shot him again on the ground?
Yeah, they shot him like at least 6 times.
The newspaper reports are just saying that 3 shots were fired, but that's not true.
No, are you kidding me? They shot at least 120 shots probably altogether.
Okay.
They were shooting the car. It was like a lot.
What side of the windows were the windows blown out on, the left or the right side?
Left.
Left side, okay. And
they kept hitting the right. They kept hitting the right side of the car too, but they didn't blow. Like the windows didn't come out. Like they were hitting the metal instead of the glass.
Okay. And so, not one shot was fired by anybody in the car or by a Lavoy.
No one even touched their gun.
No one touched their gun.
No one pulled their gun out. No one touched the guy. We had no rifles. A couple of the guys had sidearms on, but no one touched them. In fact, they had their hands out the windows to show that they were not firing. They weren't nothing.
Okay, so when
we showed no aggression at all.
When Ryan Bundy was shot, both his hands were out the window and his head was out the window?
No, at the time he was on the floor of the car because that was when they were shooting at our vehicle. We couldn't get out of the car or we would have been dead.
Right, okay. And so how many police vehicles or how many vehicles would you say were involved in this encounter? FBI vehicles, etc.
I didn't count. I was really shaken up when they got out. But we all noted that there was like a ton of vehicles. There were, I don't know, maybe 40 altogether.
Okay.
There was tons, and there were people in the trees. I think it was an ambush. It was a set-up ambush or something, because there was like people in the trees, FBI snipers, and people in the trees because we saw them. They're all pointing their, like I had like 20 lasers on me when I was getting out of the car.
Okay. So Lloyd got out of the driver's seat and he
when he crashed into the snowbank, then he immediately got out of the car. He had his hands in the air. He's like, just shoot me then, because he didn't want to go. He didn't want to go down. He didn't want to. But he did not. He just had his hands in the air. He's like, are you just going to shoot me? And then they just shot him.
And how many shots would you say that were fired when they shot him the first time?
The first time that he was shot.
When they shot him, did you hear multiple rounds?
Yeah, I did. He got hit by several people. Like, it was like simultaneous, and we were like, what? We couldn't believe it. It shocked us because he had his hands in the air. We couldn't believe that they were actually going to shoot him. And we were like, what? Is he dead? Is he dead? And then I was like, because we knew that he had gotten shot, we couldn't hear him, and I was like, then I screamed, I mean, let me come out and help him. I just want to help him. And then he started firing at the car, the vehicle again, and then they wouldn't let us out. And, it was so scary.
About how long would you say they fired at the car before they finally stopped?
Somewhere between 5 and 10 minutes.
Victoria, We're going to be praying for you, okay? And
right.
you know, I have this recorded because I fear for your life. I feel like if you were one of the few people, you're not under arrest, but you were a witness, a direct eyewitness to what happened. So I wanted to get this down, and I wanted to document this as well as I could. Who was driving so Lavoy was driving the car, and Ryan was in the front seat?
No, Ryan Payne was in the front seat, but during the incident, he got out when they first stopped us. He stopped in the middle of the road and told them, "We're going to talk to the sheriff," he said. And then when they fired the first shot, it was actually at that point, Ryan Payne had both his hands out the window on his head, and then they shot at him.
That was the first shot?
That was the first shot.
Okay, so...
And that's when they knew that's when we knew that they meant business, that they were serious. And then I'm talking to the electric in Michigan that I live with because recording this just in case something happened. So that was the first shot, and then he ended up getting out of the car because they stopped shooting. He got out of the car, and then after we started driving again, that's the shot. That's when they started shooting at us again. So, but we had lasers on us the whole time. They were ready to shoot.
Okay, so Ryan got out of the car. Did he ever get back in the car before he took off?
No, he was arrested, or he was taken into custody at least. I don't know if he was arrested, because all of us were taken into custody, and he was with us. Like, we all got transported together, and then they separated all of us.
And that's Ryan Payne you're talking about?
Yes.
Okay, and where was Ryan Bundy?
He was in the back seat of the car beside me. I was actually... I had fallen asleep on him. I had fallen asleep on him right when we got pulled over. I was asleep, and then I woke up when the whole thing started going down.
So
he was sitting to the left of me.
Okay, so you were in the middle?
Yes.
And then the other lady?
On my right.
Who was?
Shauna Cox.
Shauna Cox on your right, Ryan Bundy on your left. And you were headed to go see the sheriff?
We were going to this meeting that was going on, so all of us sheriffs were going to sing, and the sheriff was going to be there, and a bunch of ranchers. We were just going to try to talk and maybe do some negotiations, and we were going to sing. And so that was all, and then we were ambushed. I mean, it was known that we were going to go, so they probably just decided to choose that area maybe because it was really wooded and everything, and we didn't have any phone service. So.
Okay. All right. Well, listen, I'm going to be up if you want to call me at any time during this, okay? Because I can't do much. I can pray for you guys, but I can also try to document as best as possible to make sure that the story is not, because right now the media is reporting that 3 shots were fired.
Oh, no, that's a total lie.
Okay.
First media is going to report that, but...
Right, well...
Are you kidding me? Have you seen the car? Have you seen the vehicle?
No.
It's completely covered with gunshots.
Well, no, they're not going to release that because they don't want...
And he's probably got 6 holes in him himself.
Okay. Well, I'm just telling you, so... Now let me ask you this: do you want this story to get out?
Absolutely.
Okay, so I'm gonna stop the recording, and I'm gonna see how well it's turning out. I want to be able to determine if I can hear you clearly, and determine, and I mean, I am willing to try to get this out there to any media outlet that I possibly can. Independent media, but I need to know, so is your family back at the refuge?
No, they're not. Hold on a second.
Okay.
Someone's calling me.
All right. Go ahead and answer.
Oh, I need to let you go.
Bye-bye. I'll be back.
All right, bye.
Okay. So there you have it. I forgot to tell you, if you've already seen the video, to fast forward to this part. But Hopefully you're smart enough to do that. Now, I want to talk about Victoria's statement really quick, and then we're going to go over to this Mark McConnell's video. Now, Victoria, she was in the vehicle, and Ryan Payne was in the front seat. He had both his hands and head out the window. That's when they said they wanted to go talk to the sheriff, and that's when the feds shot. Now, there's been reports that it wasn't the feds that shot. It was actually the Oregon State Police. So we'll figure that out in due time. Now, it also says that she says that they shot him 6 times, where the news is saying 3 times. And we're going to go to that video and we're going to look at that. All right. And she also said that they shot at least 100 times. Her first response was 120 times. And Lavoy, she also said, still had his hands up after he was dead, which we seen in the video. Bullet splattered was below the glass, except for on the left side, the glass was shot out. But on the right side, where all the law enforcement was, they were shooting actually at them below the window. They weren't just shooting the windows out. They must have known that they were down on the floorboard, and that's where they were shooting. And if their heads were above the door and visible within the glass area of the truck, that's probably where they would have been shooting. But it wasn't. And they splattered bullets. 100, 120 of them, she states. And she said that they was yelling to them and pleading and crying with them, and said that let us get out and help him. And they started firing more bullets, and she was looking for something white so they could stick out the window so they would stop shooting. Now, the only thing I find odd or interesting or conflicting with her story is that she said that went on for 5 to 10 minutes. Now, I can understand you're being shot at, you got lasers pointed at you, you're about ready to die. So it probably did seem like 5 to 10 minutes. But when we get to the video, I'm going to show you where, from what I counted and timed according to the first shot that I seen to the last shot that I seen, it went on for non-stop 56 seconds. But that's still a lot of bullets. 56 seconds. You got 20 agents maybe emptying their guns on this vehicle. That probably does add up right around 100 or more. And also want to say that we talked about the windows being shot out on the left side of the truck. All right. And they said that Ryan got out of the car first. But this is a conflicting story because I didn't see Ryan get out of the car. We're gonna touch base on the video on that. And maybe I wrote that down as what McConnell's statement was. Here I got some notes. And Ryan Bundy was in the back seat with Victoria, sleeping on Ryan. Shauna Cox was on the right, and Victoria was in the middle. Ryan Bundy was in the back left. So that puts Lavoy in the driver's seat, Ryan Payne in the front passenger seat, Ryan Bundy in the back left side, this girl here, Victoria, in the middle, sleeping on them when they got pulled over, and Shauna Cox on the right. And I've even made a little diagram here. I don't know if you can see it. Let's see if I can do this. But here's the diagram of the truck. Let me see if I can get my finger over here. There's Lavoy in the driver's seat, in the front seat. Ryan Payne, who stuck his head and hands out the window and said that they wanted to talk to the sheriff. That's when the first shot was fired. They missed, and then Lavoy put the truck in drive and took off. There's no reason for them to fire on him. He's got his hands out the window, his head out the window, and says he wants to talk to the sheriff, and they open fire on him. And I'm going to show you in the video where it shows that. I counted at least 2 flashes of light, and so there's at least 2 shots that they fired at him for no reason. And then here in the back seat, We have Ryan Bundy in the back passenger or back driver's seat, behind the driver's seat on the back seat. In the middle, the Victoria, you just heard her eyewitness account. She was there. And then the Shauna Cox was in the back behind Ryan Payne. So there's that. That's her story. Now we're going to go over here and listen to Mark McConnell's story. Make sure I got this right. Okay. Right there.
As many of the rumors and nonsense and flying, I guess I'm impressed with some of the asinine comments I'm seeing. But a bunch of people would never hear. But this is what happened. Today we were heading to a meeting up in John Day, and myself and Buddha, Ammon, were in my Jeep. Lavoy Finicum's truck had Lavoy, Ryan Payne, Ryan Bundy, Shauna Cox, and 18-year-old girl that I won't disclose her name. We were riding up 395, and was taking a nap in the back of my Jeep. Buddha and I were just
taking a nap in the back of his Jeep. You heard him. He's taking a nap in the back of his Jeep. But then he goes on to say him and Buddha were just gelling. All right, so what is it? Are you taking a nap in the back of the Jeep, or are you gelling with Buddha? Lie number one.
John, you know.
Let's hear that again.
We were riding up 395, and was taking a nap in the back of my Jeep. Buddha and I were just jawing. You know, as we were going through the forest, we happened to look.
Or maybe he said Ammon was
over, and
sleeping.
there was approximately 11 heavy-duty, 3/4 ton, 1 ton trucks sitting there.
You tell me.
All winches and jacked up, and, standard HRT trucks. And they whipped out, pulled us over, pulled me out of the Jeep first, being a driver, being as tall as I am and such, being armed. Yeah, they were a little rougher with me, but I would be too. Then they pulled Ammon out. They pulled Buddha out. And then after they had us secured.
Wait a minute. Now, was he taking a nap in the back of the Jeep?
Duty, 3/4 ton, 1 ton trucks.
Or
Shauna Cox and 18-year-old girl that I won't disclose her name.
Was he driving?
We were riding up 395, and was taking a nap in the back of my Jeep. Buddha and I were just jawing.
Ammon was.
As we were going through the forest, we happened to look over.
Okay, so Ammon was taking the nap, and him and Buddha were gelling.
And there was approximately 11 heavy-duty, 3/4 ton, 1 ton trucks sitting there. All winches and jacked up, and, standard HRT trucks. And
wait for it.
They whipped out, pulled us over, pulled me out of the Jeep first, being a driver, being as tall as I am and such.
He's a driver.
Being armed, yeah, they were a little rougher with me, but I would be too. Then they pulled Ammon out. They pulled Buddha out. And then after they had us secured, they radioed ahead that vehicle 1 was secure. Go ahead and proceed with vehicle 2. At that time, we seen somebody come out of vehicle 2. Didn't know who it was. On the passenger side, and they're about 200 yards up.
All right, lie number 2. We seen someone come out of the vehicle number 2, passenger side, 200 yards up. Now, the video don't show that. We're going to show you that. That's a lie number 2.
They went to the ground. They were handcuffed. Next thing we know, Lavoy takes off with his pickup and the other occupants. HRT, of course, pursues.
200 yards up. All right, that's 2 football fields. And he didn't hear or see any gunshots because there were gunshots.
They got further down the road, and we didn't realize there was actually a roadblock about a mile down. And from what Shauna Cox is saying, going off what Shauna Cox and what Ryan Payne are saying, which were in the vehicle, visually.
How would he know what Shauna Cox and Ryan Payne were saying? Right. So that's a question right there.
I seen the truck take off. Now, I mean, anytime somebody takes off with a vehicle away from law enforcement after they've exercised a stop, it's typically, considered an act of aggression and foolish. Payne said while they were sitting there and they were clearing my vehicle that him and Lavoy kind of had a heated discussion, and Lavoy was actually rather heated. But I'm not going to dismiss or degrade Lavoy at all. Lavoy was very passionate, about this, about the movement, about what we were doing up here. But emotionally thinking, I mean, it's not always the best. But he was very passionate. I mean, I love the dude. Met him 3 weeks ago. I mean, I admired him. But he took off. HRT had to chase him. And then from what Shauna Cox was saying, once they got down there by the roadblock, I don't know if he tried to go around the roadblock or what he did. But anyways, the nose of his truck got stuck in the, snowbank right there. And Lavoy has a diesel, manual transmission. What Shauna Cox said from she was inside of his truck again, that when he exited the vehicle, the rear wheels of the vehicle were still spinning, which diesel truck, manual transmission, makes sense. It's possible until it stalls. And he charged after law enforcement. Numerous, her story's changed a few times. She's added pieces, subtracted pieces. I don't know. I really don't know. What I do know to be true is from what Payne said, from what Shauna said, taking, pieces here, pieces there, and from what I witnessed. I did.
All right, so there's some more lies. All right, she says, Payne said while they were sitting there and clearing McConnell's Jeep, Payne and Lavoy had a heated discussion. How did he know that when they're 200 yards away in another vehicle? And he couldn't even hear or see the gunshots. So how is he supposed to hear and see their discussion?
See the shooting.
And then the other lie, number 5, is from what Shauna Cox was saying. Lavoy exited the vehicle, still spinning, and he charged at the law enforcement. How would he know that? They were over a mile down the road, around the corners. This guy is something else.
He was not on his knees. He was not none of that. He was none of that nonsense. That was a miscommunication.
How does he know this?
On somebody else's part. But he went after him. He charged him. Lavoy was very passionate about what he was doing up here. Not dismissing what they did, not dismissing what he did. I don't know. I didn't see it. I'm not going to speculate on it.
Now he says he doesn't know what happened.
Girls back down. They split us up. Put us all in FBI vehicles. They brought me and the 18-year-old back here to the county facility.
Why would they bring them to the county facility?
Portland to federal facility. They interviewed me for 2 hours. They didn't have anything on me.
Of course they didn't.
They picked up the original members of the people that took over the refuge. I wasn't one of them. They asked me, do I belong to a militia? No, I'm just up here. It's just standard stupid questions trying to pin me down. And they didn't work. I just kept reiterating to them. I was up here sightseeing. I was up here visiting.
Lie, because that's all you do is lie.
Why is all the gear in the back of your Jeep? Well, because it's not illegal. So therefore, I'm doing it. Frustrated them enough. They spent 2 hours. After 2 hours, dude walked back in. Said, "Here, we're cutting you loose."
Of course they
got
are.
on you is trespassing. They didn't have my name in any articles. The best they had was a few pictures of me out there. Well, congratulations, Goober. So they cut me loose. He thought it was funny that they're going to keep my Jeep for 24 to 48 hours so they can forensically check it. They're keeping my weapons. They got to run the ballistics on them, serial numbers on them, see who, make sure I'm the rifle owner, and they weren't using the commission of a crime or such, whatever. And I might get them back in a month. Maybe. I won't.
Oh, sure you will.
Walking out to the Army Gate because this place up here, yeah, it's crawling. It's packed. This compound, the sheriff's compound, it's packed. 75, 80 vehicles in there. Got probably 6 Bearcats sitting in there. Oregon State Police have brought in 2 mobile command centers. They've brought in their forensic or forensic truck. It's back here. You know, a lot of people with the refuge, they're bailing. Makes sense. I mean, it's over. You know, this part of this game, this part of the stage, it's over. It's time to move on to the next stage. I got hooked up, made a few phone calls. You know, people in the network come down, picked me up, very graciously brought me into their motel rooms. You know, I'm extremely appreciative of that. You know, but that's how this network works. You know, people actually get out here and doing things, not just sitting on Facebook talking about all the good shit they're going to do or all the bad stuff they're going to do and all that. They're actually
I smell a rat.
You know, yeah, I know. I may hear all kinds of excuses and whining, and you know, my dog broke his pecker, and you know, my wife keeps her balls.
Oh, that's real original.
So you know, here I am. I'm in the room, relaxing, trying to
I bet.
Spending 2 hours on the asphalt, on the cold asphalt.
Lavoy's dead.
The handcuffs. Yeah, I'm chill.
Everybody else is in jail.
You know, but here it is.
Yeah.
I'm tired of all the rumors, tired of all the gossip, bullshit.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, you tell him.
He was gunned down. No, I don't know if he was gunned down.
You're here to tell us the truth.
You know, I know he took off. I know he drove that way. I know he let him on a pursuit from a person that was in the vehicle.
They trying to kill him?
He jumped out of his vehicle basically while he was still, you know, still alive and charged at him. That ain't gunning somebody down. I don't know what happened up there. But you know something?
Well, what is it? You know what happened up there, or you know everything that happened up there?
So don't put speculation out there. Don't put
this guy's something else.
You know, yeah, the rest of the guys.
I call bullshit. I smell a rat.
Because I do a damn good job of keeping myself unknown.
Yeah, I bet you do.
You know,
you're one shady. You know what?
The second time I've seen where these cases are evolving around people and what they post on social media. Yeah, you get your First Amendment rights. You also have the right to be stupid, I guess. Right?
Yeah. You think I'm stupid to believe this cockamamie story?
Or whatever. No, I'm just smarter than your average retarded.
No, you're not that smart. You didn't outsmart us.
All right. So, you all got any questions? Yes. I'll make another video.
Okay.
I'll answer your questions.
Yeah. We'll see.
Stop the speculation. Get to business. We have work to do here. All right.
Yeah, we got some work to do here.
You know, death, die in vain, be in vain. Yeah, it was tragic. You know, like I said, I really, you know, really got attached to you, man. I mean, the fire he had in him, the life he had in him, was just phenomenal. We got to make it work. That shit do. Good night.
Okay, so there's this guy's cockamamie story. I don't trust this guy one bit. I didn't trust him in the beginning, and I'm going to tell you why. And I caught him in at least 6 lies. And here's what they are going to be. Now, my son's waking up, so I got to try to squeeze this in before he gets too fussy. So let me make sure I got this going here. All right, so you heard his story. All right, lie number 1. If he was saying that Ammon was sleeping in the back of the Jeep and him and Buddha was chilling or gelling, all right, or if he was sleeping in the back of the Jeep. So I kind of couldn't hear good what he was saying there. But the second lie, he said, we seen someone coming out of vehicle number 2, passenger side, 200 yards up, went to the ground, got handcuffs. And that's when Lavoy takes off. Well, I didn't see that on the video. And if he could see all this imaginary stuff happening 200 yards up the road, then why couldn't he see or hear the gunshots that took place right there? Because they did. They shot at him. We heard from Victoria. She said that Payne had his hands and head out the window, and they shot at him and missed, and Lavoy took off. Now, he says that, no, someone came out of vehicle number 2 on the passenger side 200 yards and went to the ground, got handcuffed, and then Lavoy taken off. So according to Mark McConnell, we already know that Ryan Payne was in the front passenger side. So he's saying Ryan Payne got taken out of the vehicle and handcuffed and on the ground, and that's when Lavoy took off. So there's a conflicting story right there. He's lying. All right, lie number 3, he says, from what Shauna Cox and Ryan Payne were saying. All right, so how would he know what Shauna Cox and Ryan Payne were saying? So if let's say that they met when they got this all done and they transported them back together, then they separated them. Him and the other girl went to the county, and the rest of them went to the federal. And so, from what Shauna Cox and Ryan were saying, that's the only way he would know. Now, this has got conflicting stories here. And the lie number 4 is where Payne, he said, Payne said while they were sitting there and cleaning McConnell's Jeep, Payne and Lavoy had a heated discussion. Now, how did he know that from 200 yards away? I'm assuming that he said that. Hang on there, buddy. yeah. Have it. That he could hear all this stuff and see all this stuff from 200 yards away, right? So from what Shauna Cox was saying, lie number 5, Lavoy exited the vehicle, wheels still spinning, and charged at the Leos. Well, we seen differently. He exited the vehicle and was just kind of wandering around up there alongside of the road. He didn't charge at him. He had his hands up. So why would he say that Shauna Cox was saying something she didn't say or see? All right, when we heard from the other girl and we seen the videos, this guy's a liar. Lie number 6, he says, Shauna Cox's story changed a few times, added and subtracted. And so how would he know that too? That's how I want to know that. Was he there for questioning? Did he hear this when they were being transported together? Why would they transport them together? So they could get their story straight or anything like that? I don't understand why they would transport all them guys together. And lie number 7, they brought them back down and split us up. It says right there, they brought them back down and split them up. I ain't, and the 18-year-old to county and the rest of them to federal, so that's a conflicting story right there also. Somebody's pooping. Alright, so they said he was held for 2 hours. What did he have to talk about for 2 hours? I mean, I've been in trouble with the law plenty of times. And I can tell you something right now. Alright. This guy was held for 2 hours. He was rolling. Or they were talking alright. They were talking about something. It's the only thing he should have talked about is I don't want to say anything until I speak to an attorney. I mean, come on. For real. They don't just hold you for 2 hours and let you go. You're either snitching, or when they let you out, you're going to go snitch. Or you're going to go do some dirty work for them like this guy putting this bogus bullshit video up here that is just mind-boggling because none of it sets right with me. He didn't from the beginning. He's shady. You can tell he's lying. He's stuttering. He's got to think about what he's saying instead of just letting it flow off your tongue naturally, because that's what people do when they tell the truth. And he kept going off base and talking about, you know, this and that, and it had nothing to do with that actual thing there. And so, you know, line number 8 I got wrote down here. They were spent 2 hours. He said that he spent 2 hours sitting on the cold asphalt in handcuffs in 10-degree weather. So, I mean, tell me they had held him for 2 hours at county for questioning, but they didn't take him inside the jail. They had him outside sitting on the ground for 2 hours, handcuffs in 10-degree weather. Come on. This story cannot get any higher level on the bullshit meter. Alright? This is all a bullshit story. I'm calling bullshit. This guy's lying. I don't trust him. And you can send this video to him. I don't care. Because right here, I want to point out too before we look at this video, because everybody's going to say something about the timestamp on it. Well, in weather geek language, that timestamps is in UTC, Zulu, GMT, etc. The shooting happened approximately at 4:35 p.m. 16:35 Pacific Standard Time, which is UTC 8:00Z. That's 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. All right. For reference, Eastern Standard Time is UTC 5 right now. because we are not in daylight savings times. So it's kind of confusing unless you know exactly what I'm talking about. And it shouldn't be relevant anyhow, because anybody, when they buy a camera or a drone and they set the time and date on it manually, they can set it to wherever. So that shouldn't even be relevant about what's going on in the corner of this video up there as far as the time and date. I don't even want to talk about it. That's how irrelevant it is. Alright, so now we have that. And we also have, let's close that out. And we talked about that. So we will close that out. But right here is the full unedited version. Let's see if we can get away with this. Okay, here's the full unedited version. And here's the drone. As you can see the date up here and the time. This one says 2016, January 27th. But don't pay no attention to that. Like I said, it's easily, you can change that easily. Now here's the drone that's going along. I got to deal with my son here, so just be patient with me. Not a really important part of the video anyhow. Okay, so anyhow, here they are. They're getting ready to be ambushed. They got the whole place set up. They knew what was going on. Before they left. This was an ambush. It's in a wooded area, secluded, no cell phone service. They couldn't call for help. Alright, so here they are when they pulled them over. Here's the drone footage. You can see their routine traffic stop right here. You look up here, all these guys with their guns drawn, doors open. That's not a routine traffic stop. I just got pulled over not too long ago. My wife gets pulled over for an inspection sticker not too long ago. They don't do this. This isn't a routine traffic stop. Not where I'm from. I've been around for 46 years. And I know the difference between a routine traffic stop or they're coming to get you. And nurses, they're coming to get you. Alright, so you can see right here, their hands are out the window right here. Down here by the truck. Now this goes on for a while. Now let's watch this. That's not anything. People are going to say this is because they're edited the video. The FBI edited the video because it's fake. Well, I'm going to tell you right now that this is a highly sophisticated drone. And these things are pretty fancy. And they can zoom in and out hundreds of yards with just a click of a button.